Well, hello there, everybody. It's me, Photo Dave, and if this is your first time on Toypixx, this channel is dedicated to making sure that everybody is improving their action figure photography. So on Toypixx, you'll oftentimes hear me talking about action figures, what's kind of going on in the action figure industry. You'll hear me talking about photo equipment, lighting, tips, tricks, tutorials, Photoshop, all that good stuff. Possibly even dioramas in the future. I'm considering messing with that to make all our photos way cooler and frankly to help me and help you. So if any of that sounds cool to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And now one more thing that I need to talk about is the mic situation on this here YouTube channel. It's bad. And I thought that I could make things work via editing these videos and everything, but it's not helping. And a few of you have gotten a hold of me to let me know, hey man, something's going on with the popping and all this with your mic. The fact is, I'm pretty much using the mic from my iPhone. So rest assured, first off, thank you to all 81 of you who've subscribed in spite of my mic troubles. And second, within the next 2 weeks, this mic problem will be taken care of. I've been online, I've been researching, I've been trying to figure out what I can do to make it so that, well, the audio quality, it doesn't suck. Now, without any further ado, the topic of today's video is going to be sepia toning, using Photoshop to kind of give your pics that sepia tone look. And for today's shot, there's no better figure I have than everybody's favorite Huckleberry, McFarlane's Gunslinger Spawn. And yeah, he's everybody's favorite Huckleberry because I don't have a Doc Holliday figure. And of course, I'm going to have to put somewhere in the extreme foreground some kind of danger for Gunslinger Spawn. This beautiful, beautiful hunk of chunkin' huge big buoy piece of plastic in the photo as well. So let's get on it right after we get the intro going. Woo-hoo! So today I didn't want to spend a lot of time going over exactly how I set this up, just because there wasn't much to it. I'll tell you a little bit about it as we go through here. This diorama, first off, is from Bearded Wolfie, whom you can find on Etsy and Instagram. It's obviously a Star Wars diorama, but I'm going to substitute it for more of an Old West look today. Pretty cool stuff. I've got my basic Neewer light set up there without an extender, and I've got that one with an extender. We've got Violator there, we've got Spawn there, we've got the reflector bouncing light back from this thing, more on the front of Spawn there, just so he's not totally covered in dark. And that's pretty much it. One thing I do want to bring up that I don't talk much about is framing the photo, framing the shot. So I wanted to show you exactly how I'm going to frame this bad boy, just so you see it before we really get into it. That's going to be it. I'm using the Violator pretty much as a framing device. And the shaking there is because apparently my legs are really weak. So there you go. That's going to be approximately what the shot's going to look like. So I'm going to set up the camera right now, shoot it, and the next time you see me, well, you won't see me at all. You'll see Photoshop. Okay, here's how we're going to do this. First off, bear with me because I recorded this once while doing it, and the audio was so bad it made me want to kick myself. So here, what I did was I took the picture that I shot of Spawn, I dropped it into Photoshop, and I made just real slight contrast adjustment. Adjustment, that's the word I was looking for, because in a sepia image, you don't need a lot of contrast. Now, the sepia itself ends up eliminating a lot of the contrast, but you want to kind of help it a little bit by making sure that it's not too contrasty and too crazy. Still, I added just a touch, but we should be all right. Now, I'm just going to sit here and ramble while it gets to the next part, because, frankly, I don't know what all I said because when I put the audio in here, it was just that bad. All right, I opened this bad boy up in Photoshop, made no real adjustments, but then started playing a little bit. The first thing I did was I went to just make it, I opened it up and then I dropped it in one of my other files just because it's got the Toypixx logo in it. So I opened yesterday's Wolverine photo, I dropped the Spawn picture into the photo, and just kind of got rid of all the Wolverine parts, and now, well, all that remains is Spawn. So now I moved him up just a touch, just made him fit in the frame a little better. All that. I did all that just so I could keep the Toypixx logo on there. Pretty exciting stuff, really. If you think about it, it's not. It's not at all. But it's just how Photoshop works. So that's in there. I believe the first thing I did, let's see if I'm very good at this whole prognostication thing since I did it already once before, is I went to the adjustment layers. Look, I did do that. And I dropped it down to photo filter. And when I dropped it down to photo filter, well, then I went away. All right, dropped it down to photo filter, and I went straight up to the sepia tone after I just used the drop down menu to drop it to sepia. And then I just cranked the opacity all the way up. And that's what just flat out doing the sepia filter looks like. And frankly, that's not really sepia tone. That's just kind of a sepia color over what's already there. So that was no good. I'm not a fan of it. It's one way to do it, and I'm sure some people do it that way, but it's not really what I enjoy doing when it comes to sepia tone. Now, the next thing I did was the way I enjoy doing sepia tone. I went in and I found kind of a grayish brown color. Picked that, copied the hexadecimal number just because I want to hold on to that for this color. It's a good color to copy the hexadecimal number for. And this is me just killing time as I'm watching the video that I recorded earlier. La da 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 da. Didn't really do much there. Now here what I did was I decided I wanted to bring in a little bit of white, like the really light parts from the underlying layer on the Spawn photo itself. So I dragged that just a little bit in the underlying layer area, and then I pushed Alt and I split it so that the white is a little smoother, so it's not just a really rough transition. So that's how I did that. Now, making this white, that's kind of just something I enjoy doing. It's not really going to be helpful for a straight up sepia tone, but I'll make that adjustment later. Little spoiler alert there. And now what I did was I decided, okay, let's do this properly. So I went up to the layer styles, dropped it down, and I went to the color layer style, which just flat out gave the whole sepia tone all over the entire image. And that ends up being a much better effect than I thought the original was. Now, I myself was having technical difficulties, but here what I did was I added that layer again, which I deleted with just the sepia tone filter, and decided I'll show you the both of them. So there's just that sepia tone filter that I did earlier, and there it is with an actual sepia tone over the image, which I actually prefer when the goal is a sepia tone. Because sepia tone. And then I'm pointing out how there's still a lot of darks in the image. And in a sepia photo, you don't have a lot of really light lights and a lot of really dark darks. So first I get rid of that photo filter adjustment layer again. And I go back and I create a new layer that I can fill with the same color that I used for the sepia tone color. Now, this is where I had my technical difficulties. For some reason, it just wasn't in my head that, hey, you should copy the hexadecimal number and put it in the foreground color. So I didn't do that. So I played here, got a totally different color to do the whole lightening thing. So then I dropped the layer style to lighten. Played a little bit with other stuff, but decided lighten was probably the right way to go. and drop the opacity to 35. And what 35 does is it still allowed some of the dark to show through, but it wasn't the real hardcore stuff. It wasn't a big time black color, because sepia tone doesn't have big time black colors. And now here I am realizing, hey, I screwed that up. I need to grab the actual hexadecimal number to get the actual color that I used before. So now I'm figuring out, okay, let's just paste it into the foreground, hit OK, change that color in that layer to the exact color I had before, and now we've got a straight up sepia-toned image that I personally think looks a whole lot better than if we just did the regular photo filter sepia deal with that adjustment layer. Just not a big fan of that. I think that this looks a lot better, especially with that being the goal. And then I decided, you know what? We got rid of the black. Let's back the white out a little bit there. So I backed the white out, and at that point, this bad boy was pretty much done. So there's a sepia Gunslinger spawn all, well, finished and sepia'd up. I was pretty happy with this one. It was a real simple thing to put together. When it comes to any kind of Old West shot you want to do, whether you've got like a Lone Ranger collection or just a regular old cowboy setup, maybe you've somehow got some tombstone figures that you can play with, then it's always cool to use something like a black and white or a sepia, maybe sometimes combine the two. It just makes for a really cool look. But that's all I've got for this one, folks. If you're digging the content, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And definitely let me know, is this the kind of video that's helping you out? Or is there something else I could be doing when it comes to taking pictures that you think might help you more? Just let me know in the comments. And with that, have fun and happy snapping. See ya.